Freundlichkeit, Brüderlichkeit, wenn ihr wollt, wenn irgendjemand von euch wirklich will.
Dear brothers and sisters, in general, I'm making videos in German. But the last video I produced in German, I want to do also in English and in Spanish, because I think it's very important to understand or to know what's happening right here in Germany, in Austria, or in Switzerland, if we're talking about the anthroposophy, what's coming from Rudolf Steiner. First of all, I want to give you a picture of what's happening right now for a lot of people, because they are feeling that something is missing in their life. They are searching for the sense of their life, and they feel that there is some kind of emptiness in their soul, in their spirit. And a lot of people right now try to fill this emptiness with anything. So, for example, with some kind of financial freedom, for example. And a lot of marketers say, okay, if you're reaching this financial freedom, you will feel happier than before and anything else. But yes, it's something what I have written down in my new book in German. Bewusstsein sucht Geld und Freiheit. Consciousness is searching for money and freedom. And finally, it's a question if this is some kind of a material spirit. Okay, fine. So I'm producing this video because I want to warn you that you have to be careful, that you are not copying anything what's happening right here. If you're studying anthroposophy, if you are interested in Rudolf Steiner, because I observed something and I want to explain you. First of all, I maybe have to mention that I wanted to start to produce an online summit about the social threefolding. The social threefolding is, yes, let's say an idea of Rudolf Steiner, that the society is a social organism, that this social organism has got a nature, and this organism is an organism superior of our organism, and we all have to give some service to this social organism. But before giving any service to that social organism, we have to understand and we have to be aware that something like a social organism is existing. Okay, let's start with it. So the social organism has got 3 legs. I don't know if it's the word in English, but you will understand what I'm talking about. So the 3 legs are, once it's the spiritual life, then it's the life of rights and laws, and finally also the life of economy life. And there are 3 values we will find in this social threefolding, and we know these values from the French Revolution: freedom, equality, and fraternalism. And the freedom we will find in the spiritual life, the equality in the life of rights and laws, and the fraternalism in the life of economy. Okay, crazy. Well, that is a picture of a healthy social organism. Okay? And if we observing what's happening right now here on Earth, we see that the freedom we have to search in the spiritual life, we can observe in the economy of the capitalism, where everybody is the next one is me, not my brother or my sister. I'm not taking care about my neighbors. Okay. So if the freedom is in the life of economy, the fraternalism hasn't got a lot of space to live right there. So the fraternalism is looking for some space somewhere else, and the fraternalism is finding its space in the life of rights and laws. And so we can observe something like lobbyism or corruption, yeah, where some people with a lot of influence can create their laws and rights like they wanted to have. And so poorer people or people with less influence always will lose in front of the tribunals. I think it's the word. Okay. If not, you will see that word in that video. Okay. And if the equality, so if the fraternalism is in the life of rights and laws, the equality will not have its space to live right there. So it has to search, looking for some space somewhere else, and so the equality will try to live its value in the spiritual life. So in Germany, for example, we have got some kind of administration of education, so that there are some people who are giving some directions to the schools, where the teacher have to teach to the pupils how they have to think and what they have to learn. So there's some kind of making equal all the pupil, what they have to think, what they have to learn. And we also see the media right here, what are transfer something like a social norm to all the people, what they have to think and what is right and what is wrong and what is political correctness, how you have to think in a right political manner. Okay, and if we see right now in our organism superior that we have got something like equality in the spiritual life, we could ask ourselves, okay, if we observe it in the big picture, maybe we could find it also in a small picture. So I can ask myself, what is trying to keep me in an equal spiritual life, and maybe how and where I'm trying is, do I try to make other people equal in their spiritual life? It's some question about what we are doing. And if we right now see the opposite of freedom in spiritual life, we could reach the opposite with the equality in spiritual life. And if we want to reach equality in spiritual life, we need something like control. And so maybe you could imagine that there are a lot of power, a lot of people maybe who are trying to keep the world like it is right now. But we see that there's a lot of resistance if we want to reach some kind of freedom in our spiritual life. So we have to accomplish and to achieve the freedom. Freedom is no gift. It's something like work. And maybe you could also imagine that here is some kind of war, maybe obvious, maybe it's a little bit hidden. Let's say it like this. And to understand what's happening, what's trying to avoid that we reach the freedom of in our spiritual life, I want to introduce to you a model about what's happening in every human, more or less. So every one of us has to develop a free, in German we say Ich, free I. And this I is something like a fruit, the sense of being human. And around that is something what is protecting the I, where the I could develop itself. And often for us, this is the I, and we call it ego. If you maybe see a nut, you see that there's something like something what is protecting the tasty essence what we want to eat. And so we are right now are able to observe or to have some insights what's happening right here. We have that we want to see a human being. The first of all, what we are doing is to have a look at the outside border of that ego, and that's something like paper. If you want to give a gift to someone else, to sell something very beautiful, you try to make it very beautiful. It's something like image, like marketing. And if people are thinking about that their real I is the ego, for example, they are thinking about, okay, my value as a human being is depending on my my values in money and houses, cars, anything material. But it's not the truth, because I don't think that a human being without a car, without a house, without money hasn't got any value. And also there's a thinking that my worth is depending on how other people are looking at me. And so we also we always try to adopt, to change ourselves to be nice to someone else. Okay, if the I isn't developed, the ego, we can see it in the nature. If we have a nut, for example, if we want to open that border, it's very hard if the inside had not its time to get tasty. So we need a lot of strength to get through, and if it's time, it's very easy to open everything, and we can see the real nature of the fruit, the I, right here. So that is a look of from outside, but we also can make can try to see it from inside and what's happening right here. So we have got some influences from outside, from the society, what's coming to us. And if the I isn't developed, if we are not centered, we maybe won't see that there are some influences of the society, social norms. And if we're not centered, we will not see that this what's entering in our I, that this is making something of normative control. It's a part of social control. The normative control is something what's coming from inside, and maybe you maybe you heard about Platon and the word is missing. I don't mind. Maybe you also knew the movie, The Matrix, with Keanu Reeves, where the people are just looking on the inner wall, and that they are not seeing that something is outside the matrix. That's happening right here. And if you have got a developed I, you will not see, or your point, the focus of what you're looking at is not always the ego. Yeah, you will see the world out of your center. You will see what's happening right there with yourself. You also are able to feel free what's happening right there with your ego, and maybe you are also able to have a view outside of yourself. Right now I tried to, as I told you, to make an online summit about the social threefolding. And okay, I was some kind of naive, and I thought, okay, the people, or maybe first I have to explain to you how an online summit works. You have got a topic, and you invite several speakers who are working with the topic or with something what is similar to that. And maybe all the speakers you're inviting, they have got a big community behind them. And if those speakers say, okay, I'm speaking on the online summit of Martin, come and have a look at my interview about the social threefolding, maybe a lot of people would visit my online summit, for example. That's the idea. And so I will record all the interviews, and I will give for free all the interviews to a lot of people who are interested in the topic of the social threefolding. That was the idea. And right now I have to think about what has happened and what was the base of inviting the speakers. My thought was that all the speakers somehow have understood the nature of the social organism. But the base of understanding the social organism is that all the speakers are free in their eye. Because if they are not, they are always part of a normative control, and from that point of view, they will never understand the real nature of the social organism. That's very important to understand. Okay, and I observed that a lot of them who are working with the social organism are not free. They are under normative control. And what's so interesting is that they have some roots in the anthroposophy. And if you are observing what's happening right here in Germany, in Austria, in Switzerland, maybe you will get an idea right now why I want to warn you. Because what has happened? There has been some kind of discussion that some people say, okay, we want to have some distance from all the people who are talking about anthroposophy, but they are also mixing this with conspiracy theories, and we are part of the open anthroposophy. Okay, we have to talk about, okay, what do you understand about the open anthroposophy? That's one part, but there have been before my online summit, there have been some rumors I didn't knew about. I haven't mentioned, or no one has mentioned to me, and so the Aries was running in this this, how can I explain, in those conflicts, and I saw it in the beginning of this year. So there were some people, or there are some people who want to have some distance from the conspiracy theories like 9/11, World Trade Center, and all those things. And there were a lot of voices who reacted on that, and so there is also the thinking about what has happened to Rudolf Steiner, because he saw that the society of anthroposophy, that it had not the spirit like he wished to see it. So there was something missing, something was wrong. And so he had the idea to found a new society of anthroposophy, and only a few months after founding the new society of anthroposophy, he died. And there are some voices who are thinking about, okay, maybe someone has killed him with a what is the word? It's not important, but we just have to imagine what has happened in the old society of anthroposophy, where people had their work, their definition of their self, because they are working for Rudolf Steiner, and Rudolf Steiner finally said, no, the work isn't correct, we have to do something else. So they will lose something what was very important to define their self. So the people in the old society of anthroposophy are not very amused about what Rudolf Steiner did in his last days. So this could be another conspiracy theory, but for me right now, it's very important to understand what's happening right here. I wanted to talk about the social threefolding, that every one of us has to do some kind of service to the organism superior. And I wanted to introduce that to a lot of people. But what life told to me was, Martin, before you talk about the social threefolding and before introducing that to a lot of people, you have to get consciousness, you have to be aware of the freedom and the spiritual life. That is the basic. And what I want to say to you, and where I want to warn you, is that if you are interested in Rudolf Steiner and anthroposophy, be careful in copying everything what's happening right here, because maybe we have got in the society of anthroposophy something like a deep state 2, something like a Trojan horse, where we could find something like an image, and what we're expecting in the center is something different. So you have to learn how to find the truth about what we are talking about, what we are moving in our spiritual life. And finally, I guess it would be the best way to get closer to that if you're learning German. So you would get all the information what you maybe need to understand what's happening in our spirit, not on the well, how can I explain? You can see it directly and not indirectly. Maybe you understand. And yes, it's everything what I want to say right now. Just be careful what you're copying from us. Also from the anthroposophy, you have to learn to make your own thoughts. You have to learn to find the truth with thinking. And yes, that's it. Be careful. See you.